All right, today I'm here with my good friend Diego, and we're going to be talking about pre-college programs and what you can kind of do if you think that's a good fit for you, and what Diego's experience was with the one that he attended. What is a pre-college program, you ask? Well, I'm going to let Diego explain that to you. I'm not going to try to do it because I didn't do any. Diego did it. So it's all about Diego. Diego, you're on. Let's go.
The pre-college program that I attended was one hosted at Northwestern. It was called NHSI Film and Video Intensive. It was a 5-week intensive where there were about 70 kids
Okay.
from all across the world, really. People from China, people from all across the
Get
United
out of
States.
here. You didn't tell me that.
Oh, now I have.
All right. Well, now I know.
And there were 3 concentrations with the camp. There was a production side, there was screenwriting, and then there was actors. So we had to not only figure out the process of how to make a film, but most importantly, we had to know how to actually collaborate with one another and start from scratch and listen and work together. NHSI is a pre-college, a broader thing that Northwestern does. So there's NHSI debate, there's NHSI film and video, NHSI playwriting, all these sorts of things that fall under that umbrella of NHSI.
Is it all creative stuff, or is it go into like business, math, sciences, or is it just really arts?
I think the NHSI portion is arts and like an arts and letters type of thing where it's writing, creative stuff. But when I was there at the camp, there were a ton of different high school students there for pre-college programs. And not even just high school students. There were kids that were from in like 6th grade doing like math institutes at Northwestern. But they had different colored lanyards, and the lanyards would tell you which branch or umbrella you fell into. So purple meant NHSI film and video. Yellow could mean NHSI debate. But not only was there NHSI, there was other umbrellas that I don't really know the name of, but those are for like middle schoolers or for high school with like business and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So this is a pretty large thing. This isn't, I guess what I'm getting at is this isn't like a little niche thing that just you fit into and a couple other people. This is a big, huge program where there's lots of opportunity to do lots of different things in lots of different areas. Okay, so can we talk about what the application process looks like for these type of programs, what that entails, and how you found out about them, or how you found out about this one in particular?
I feel like there's a stigma with pre-college programs, like high school students, where it may be intimidating to go out and like search for a program. But I would say mine was a pretty selective and prestigious program. It's, I would say, top 3 pre-college film programs in the country. But I didn't need a portfolio. My application consisted of 2 like 500-word essays, a resume, and submitting some test scores. And that was, and also a letter of recommendation, of course. So I would always recommend to get close with teachers because that will really bring you a long way, and pretty much everything asks for that.
Sure. So I guess what this is like, it is a bit intimidating, but if you already you're already on that path, you're already someone who is kind of like a self-starter, you're motivated, you kind of have some drive, you want to take advantage of these things, you want to get ahead, you want to have these experiences. So you're a bit maybe, I don't know, a little bit more mature for your age than the typical junior would be in high school that's going to be seeking out these things. Because I think you had a plan where you said to yourself, I'm doing one of these things, and then you started to do some research and seek them out. You found them, you applied for them. Even though there's it's a prestigious thing to get into, I think they know when you're coming to them that you're already the type of person that would succeed in something like this. You're already the type that they're looking to get into a program like this. So I believe the portfolio piece is waived because they're not concerned how well you make what a filmmaker you are already. They're going to teach you that, but they need a certain personality, a group that's going to really crush it, because you did this experience was a very compressed, intense, however long you spent there. So can we talk about how you learned about the program, or how you learned about these programs? Did you touch on that?
I found like 5 programs that I was kind of looking into. I can't really recall these other 3, but I know 2 of them. One of them was NHSI and one of them was a UIC business program. And I found those by taking a day off of school. I mean, you could do this over the weekend. I was just kind of in a crunch because I was like, oh, there's a lot of deadlines approaching. I kind of have to get on this. So I took a day off and I spent the whole day researching and trying to find just opportunities in my area, or possibly opportunities that were not in my area, because I know a lot of the students that were there were not Chicago natives. We had to dorm there. Some people, like I mentioned earlier, came from across the world. So I wouldn't say limit yourself to just finding opportunities in one area. And also if financial aid or the finances are a question, because I know my Northwestern program was $7,200 before aid, which is like, okay, I'm not going to do this for $7,200 over 5 weeks. Like, as much, okay, cool, Northwestern, but like that's like, I can't do that. Once I got in, I was like, okay, I don't really know if I'm going until the financials come out, but I ended up getting a really good financial aid package. So I would say, even if the price tag is a concern, make sure that there's financial aid available, because for me, they were able to reach that for me. I would say don't limit yourself to just what's in your area. There's a ton of opportunities all across in other countries, in other states, or possibly like right next to you.
The fact that you got rejected from the business program at UIC means that you had the opportunity to make films at Northwestern, which led you to an experience that I would, from my take on it, I think it was amazing.
My day would consist of waking up at like 8 in the morning on a normal day. I wouldn't go out and like work out in the morning, and then working, collaborating, doing one-on-one, making one-on-one meetings up until like 11 p.m. You know, I could have laid back a bit and just followed strictly to the schedule that we had, which consisted of 2 core classes, which were like 90 minutes each, which were like kind of like lecture, like interactive lecture classes. Like they were 90 minutes long, like a college class. And then in the second half of my day, I would have 2 electives that I chose. But for me, I took complete advantage of my time there. So I would pack in my schedule. I would stay after class and try to talk with my professors. And I would schedule meetings outside of my class time with my professors as well. And it was something really cool about this program is that my professors lived in our dorm. So on the first level was the girls' dorm, the second level was the guys' dorm, and the third floor was my professors and the faculty. So there was one time where I reached out to my teacher and was like, yo, can we have a meeting? And I proceeded to have a 1-hour really intensive meeting with her, and that really pushed my knowledge. At a program like that, the schedule is kind of like how you make it. You can do as much as you really want.
So you might say you went to film school at Hogwarts.
Yes.
Yeah. That's deep. You got just as much or more out of you really leaning into this and saying, I'm taking advantage of this. I'm not just going to go to class for 90 minutes and then retreat back. Because I think that's how a lot of young people see, like, well, am I supposed to just do this? Am I overstepping by trying to get more out of it, stay after class, having these meetings? It's good that you were not afraid to step into that, to lean into that experience. And I think you got so much more out of it because of that.
100%. Something I will say, not only for this program, but in general, what I would recommend to people is always just take that extra step forward. Try to involve yourself in an environment the best you can. And for example, like here we are now, you and I sitting in the podcast area that kind of like you and I are doing a self-study, and then that's led to more things in regards to media. But that wouldn't have happened if there wasn't like a step moving forward. And the same thing applies with Northwestern. I reached out to my mentors to try to use my camera and my equipment and kind of go against their guidelines that they had listed, but I did it in a respectful way, and I did it, in a kind of persistent way, but I did it out of respect, and I was able to get things waived. I was able to get access to special equipment when that was initially intimidating, but I knew that if I approach it with respect, if I approach it with like genuine, like just being genuine and trying to just show them that I'm trying to do the best I can here, it can take you a really long way.
Sure. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And it's kind of, it's interesting because from the perspective of someone who hasn't been a student for a long time, I've been a teacher for a really long time now. I think the students might be hesitant to look overexcited, or again, think they're stepping over some kind of boundary. But from the other side, your professors, your teachers, we're kind of just waiting for that to happen, and that has to come from the student. If you're I can't force you to be excited about working on a project, but if you're like kind of like coming to me all the time and asking extra questions and staying after and talking about this or that, like I can see that there's some sort of fire and initiative and motivation that's in you, and I'm like, yes, this is great. We could do some great things now. And you can't do that. You can't really set the table unless somebody steps into it like you did. All right, so looking back on the experience, how would you say that your summer program, this whole thing that you did, how did it benefit you? How do you think that it helped you moving forward as you step into the next stage, college applications, networking, the adult world? And would you recommend other students enrolling in a similar program?
I will say that I've only been to one summer program in my life, and that was that one. I wish I had applied to more during freshman, sophomore year. But one thing I will say is the network that I got from it, I know when I move forward or try to move forward in that avenue, I have that network to act as a foundation or act as let me go ask them this, let me do this. Because now I have a network of not only like people my age that possibly will go on to be great actors or producers. I also have the faculty that are already established in the space that I can go to for possible like internship opportunities or shadowing opportunities. But like I said, it's an avenue that I can go down, and I think a pre-college, I would recommend a pre-college program to anyone, especially during high school when you don't really know what you want to do for the rest of your life. And going into college, it's like, well, okay, do I want to do this? Do I want to do this? I know this sounds good. I know this makes me money, but do I really want to do that? So I think a pre-college program really shows you and really puts you in the space and gives you not only the perspective of, do I want to do this? It gives you the reach to actually make it happen now that you have people that are already in the space. You can go ask them, I want to make this film. Do you want to work on this film with me? Or go to the professional already and be like, are there any shadowing opportunities? Anything like that. I think at the end of the day, it's really you putting yourself out there, because I'm just going to give a random example that happened at Northwestern. Pretty much unrelated to my film program. I went to the gym, and as I was filling in my information to get my gym pass, I was with some friends of mine, and we were kind of talking about our program, and he overheard the worker there was overheard us speaking about our program. He's like, you guys are in this program. I was actually in the NHSI playwriting program before, and I know one of my friends he's the director of Wicked, and it's on Broadway right now. And if you guys ever wanted like to reach out or ever wanted that connection, like just let me know. You guys seem like good kids, and I know you guys are at this film program right now, so that means something.
Wow.
And it's just like I'm over here just trying to go to the gym, but he can sense that we want something, or there's just like a sense of putting yourself out there in a way. Even though I don't really speak to him directly, that conversation just came by me
Yeah.
putting myself there.
It's like pulling the curtain back on this thing that you don't really know much about, and like you said, you don't know a whole lot about what you want to do moving forward, and people choose things for various reasons, whether they be, well, financially this is going to be great, or I think I love this, but then they get to it, and there's so many people that get into a program, go to college, take this on, they get accepted, they're all ready to go, and they're on that road and they go, I hate this. This is not what I thought it was going to be. It's like, it doesn't work. You're able to go, I had this experience and I know how this all works before I jump into that, or I head down that road. I already have sort of like the trailer. I have the preview of what it is. Why don't you talk a little bit about some of the projects that you did, and take a look at some of the examples of the different roles you took on during the different films.
So at the beginning, we had to do short silent films because, as I mentioned earlier, there's 3 concentrations, and we started from scratch. So within like a 2-hour period, we had to make a short silent film that was about like 90 seconds max. And the screenwriters had to write a script, with no dialogue, but they had to create their vision within that short period, and the production students had to make it, and the actors had to get in that moment. I did some electives that also had some projects. The most impactful for me was a personal documentary that I had made. Something great about these electives is that I was able to choose them and kind of go further down this road and kind of pick where I want to go. So the personal documentary allowed me to tap into reflection and actually making something with a good network of people that all wanted to do the same thing. So I made a personal documentary about my time, my first week at NHSI, and I reflected upon the community aspect and just gratitude. And then for the overall, like the main avenue, the main stretch of NHSI, we had to do 3 capstones by the end. So those are 3 final projects. I had chosen a radical route. I chose to DP 3 projects. A DP is a director of photography. So that means that my main focus on set is the camera, the visuals. The traditional thing that what NHSI was trying to do is you direct one film, you do sound for one film, and you can possibly DP or another crew role. But for me, I did a special request saying, can I DP 3 films? Because I felt like that was my strong suit, and I wanted to continue going down that role. And I was able to get that by asking and getting that special request approved. And as a result, I was able to have an involved role because the DP was working right with the director. So I was able to have an involved role on all 3 films compared to some people that were just doing sound and kind of just standing there. And not only was I able to DP, but I was also able to play a role as a director, co-director on most of these projects when the directors were kind of crashing, because I had some co-directors and their views would kind of clash. And that's where I was able to step in and be like, okay, you guys can step aside. Let me try to take a role. Let me try to direct this right now. And then that helped us get out of some trouble because we were on a very time crunch. We had to shoot these films within like 2 days. And sometimes it's very ambitious because there's multiple location changes, sound. There's a ton of things that can go bad. But yeah, I'm very grateful for my ability to actually have a impactful role on multiple of these projects.
Did you have any other experience with any other area like editing or sound, or were you strictly focused on this director of photography?
I had to be strictly focused on director of photography during my time during shooting because that was my responsibility. I took on a larger role and co-directed. And at the end of like production, like filming, his name is Ari Song. Him and I not only co-directed, but we also co-edited. So he did half the project editing. I did half the project editing. We mixed the sound together, and then we were able to kind of just put it together, both halves of the cake. Yeah, so I was able to involve myself in as much as I really wanted to. I could have taken a step back and gotten a dedicated editor, because most of the projects did. But I was like, I want to take this project on. I want to edit it as well. I want to dive into that.
What were the 3 films basically about?
So I had 3 short films, one called Method, one called Gratis, and one called Table for Two. And they all ranged in different genres, really. Method was more of a drama similar to Whiplash, where there's a lot of ambition and there's a lot of conflict between another person. And it was based off of Macbeth.
Like a contemporary Macbeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Gratis was this abstract piece, this about people and their fate and the decisions in purgatory. And then my other one was like a sad romance film. So I was kind of in 3 different places and was able to have be able to apply my skill set in 3 diverse areas back to back to back, because we had to film within a week all 3 of these projects.
And which one would you say was your favorite? It's like picking your 3 children and saying this one was my favorite. Which one was your favorite?
I would say Table for Two, because that's the one I was the most involved with. So my vision was able to kind of show a bit more, and I was able to have more control. Quite frankly, I just like the story a bit more.
I feel that one is a little bit more, it hits a little harder, a little different, because it's like it's pretty impactful. That you're watching this and you're wondering, what am I watching? Am I just watching some like love story between 2 people, and then there's a twist at the end, and it's like, whoa, and then you leave that kind of thinking, well, that was something, right? It was sad. You felt sad. Where the other ones, it was just kind of like there was some tension, there was some stuff, there was some interesting things going on, but I think with the one that you're talking about, I can see why that one had the most impact on you and why you enjoyed that one more, because I think the writer and whoever came up with the concept and the whole team really is touching on something that is very much personal and more emotional, more emotive. All right. Well, Diego, that was cool finding out and learning a little bit about your summer program. And I know, because I've worked with you for the duration of the year. We knew each other before you did this, and then you did this, and then we worked together after. And I would definitely be able to attest to the fact that this program was really impactful, and it was really important in who you are and how you work and how you attack a project, because when you came in after that experience, you came in more like someone that is a coworker and less like someone that I had to say, okay, I'm going to need you to stand over here and hold this pole and turn this light on, and turn like more sort of like step-by-step hand holding, where you're going to take initiative and you're just going to come at things a little bit differently than the typical student. So if it was up to me, everyone would do a pre-college program, especially everyone that I have to work with. So thanks for being on the show, and we'll see everybody next time.